But in terms of, if Harry stayed in the Premier League, he'd break Shearer's record.
He'd break Shearer's record for sure. But also, if he played for United, he would be considered.
He still can. He still should.
Well, right. Okay. but what I'm saying is, if Spurs hadn't hamstrung his career in such a significant way.
Yeah, no.
Unfortunately,
he's definitely. It's a tough one. Like in terms of Premier League history, obviously you've got Shearer. Incredible goal scorer.
We'll get back to Wazza in just a quick second, but remember, if you like this video, please like, share and subscribe, and don't forget to click the notification button so that you know when the next Big D video hits. And as ever, if something is on your mind, if something is bubbling up inside of you that you need to express, please express it in the comments. The Big D reads all of the comments, and he's always interested in what is on your mind. Anyway, in this clip, Wayne Rooney is going to be waxing lyrical about Harry Kane and also Erling Haaland. And he's going to be talking about why he thinks Harry Kane is England's greatest ever centre-forward. Stick around for after the clip because the Big D is going to be giving his thoughts on Wayne Rooney's opinions. Here's Wazza.
Flav, you've got a question for Wayne?
Yeah, I think when you used to come
Harry Kane as well, sorry. I forgot Harry.
Funny you say that. When you used to come to White Lane, Man United, when I used to watch you, I've genuinely thought that you were the best player I've seen come to Tottenham. You were just sensational. And when you used to drop into midfield and pick the ball up, he was unplayable at times. But as an out-and-out number 9, is it ridiculous? And is there a level of disrespect? And Adam disagrees with me because we've had this conversation before, that Harry Kane is the best number 9 that the Premier League's ever seen.
He's definitely up there. I love Harry. I think as a goal scorer, he's evolved this game over the last few years as well, which obviously we've all seen. And in dropping deep, and he's got a good range of pass. He can shoot from outside the box as well. I think that's been part of where England have done really well. I think in the last Euros, for instance, when you watch the Euros World Cup. Last
tournament was at Euros.
Euros, in the last Euros. You had Harry coming in, you had Bellingham, Foden coming in, and they were taking up everyone's space. So I think as a team, as a player, Harry should, in my opinion, recognise that and say, no, I'm going to go and stay up top, which at times you have to do. But in terms of, if Harry stayed in the Premier League, he'd break Shearer's record.
He'd break Shearer's record for sure. But also, if he played for United, he would be considered.
He still can. He still should.
Well, right. Okay. but what I'm saying is, if Spurs hadn't hamstrung his career in such a significant way.
Yeah, no.
Unfortunately,
he's definitely. It's a tough one. Like in terms of the Premier League history, obviously you've got Shearer, incredible goal scorer. I think a lot of his goals, Shearer's as well, was in his 30s as well, was he? Yeah. Then you. I always say Drogba's up there. As an out 9, you've got obviously Andy Cole, who's there. Michael Owen in that period was incredible. I think for sustainability and goals scored, Harry was definitely up there.
And I mean, you could class Henry as a number 9 if you like, and you can bring him into this conversation.
No, but you talking about like someone he doesn't, Shearer, Drogba, Kane, Aguero. Henry sort of moved about that a little bit like Wayne in some ways, and that you don't class.
I think the best 9s for me, the best 9s are ones who players can play off. So that's why I obviously have said Drogba a few times. I think Drogba is a player you could easily play off. I think Harry at his best is always as a lone forward.
His whole career pretty much been that.
As a number 9, but it's difficult to have that player to play off Harry. So I'd say Drogba just ahead of him from that point of view, but in the Premier League. But he's incredible as a goal scorer. He's right up there, and I wouldn't disagree if people are saying Harry Kane's the.
No one says it. That's my problem.
The best, yeah. No, but
you said it was. You said Harry Kane. Did you say it was England's greatest ever?
I think he's England's greatest striker. Just in fact of the goals he scored, firstly, but then you look at the games he's played, the goals he scored. You just hope. He's probably got one tournament left in him. You hope he can push us now to that next level.
Have you got a question for Wayne?
Yeah, my one for Wayne was, I just wondered, the way you played, that sort of the fire in your belly, the fight, and almost scouse way, I would say. But then also when you got in front of goal, you were calm, you were collected, you weren't flustered by what was going on around you. How much of that was just in you, and how much was coached?
I was never a natural goal scorer. Like a lot of my goals would be more instinctive and shots from the edge of the box or first time finishes. And what I had to learn, so I couldn't head the ball. I was actually all right if the keeper kicked in and competing with centre backs and trying to win flick-ons. But in the box, I could never score header goals. And then so I went. It was Mick Phelan actually at United, and I pulled him and said, I can't score a header. My timing was never great when the ball come in the box, and I worked on it for about 8 months, constantly working on it after training. And you see where players, you see it all the time, practicing shooting from 30 yards, constantly, you've got centre-backs coming in, you're like, what are you doing? And instead of working on what you should, like full-backs should be working on crossing the ball or playing the ball into forward men. So I worked on me heading for about 8 months, and then I went on a run of just scoring, I think like 15 goals in a row with my head before I scored with my feet. So putting that work in really helps. I used to watch my teammates. So the first one was Ruud van Nistelrooy when I signed for United, watching him. So then I'd get the ball in the box and I'd be like a bit rushed and then watching how much time he give himself, and then Ole Gunnar Solskjaer as well. So I'd watched him and be practicing, ask them questions, which seems to be gone now with players. They don't speak to each other. And ask them questions, why would you do this? And so that was a massive help, and understanding you've actually got more time in the penalty area to compose yourself. Sometimes, of course, you don't, but it's a lot of time you've got that time to take your touch, and you know where the goal is. You don't need to look where the goal is, and then focusing on getting your shot right. A lot of players try and smash it as hard as they can, where actually passing the ball into the net gives you a better opportunity of scoring.
And were you able to take that into being a manager as well?
You try it. You try it with forwards, and you see players snatch a lot of opportunities, and then if a ball gets pulled across, they try and smash it as hard as they can. Where I always put it to golf. If anyone plays golf, when you're playing golf, if you stand over the ball with your driver and you try and hit it as hard as you can, more often than not, you're going to slice it or pull it. Where if actually you just focus on getting a good connection, take a little bit off it, you'll probably be a bit more accurate with it. It's very similar to when you're in front of goal. If you try and smash it, it's hard to put it where you want to put it, because you lose a bit of your what's it called? You lose your accuracy from doing it. So taking a little bit off it might only be 10%. You take off it, you get it into the corners where you want to, and make it more difficult for keepers. So there's loads of analogies and loads of things of how you try and tell your players to do. But that's certainly what I done when I was younger, and all of a sudden my finishing went from here to there. So it's definitely worth working on that for young players.
With your manager's head on, he just asked you about being a manager. If you were picking almost like the perfect team, and you wanted one centre forward from the Premier League who's playing right now, what centre forwards would you want on your team?
Haaland. As good as Isak's been, I think Haaland, he's got everything. Actually, he's not the best at heading the ball. That's the one downfall he's got with his size, and I think what I was saying before, his timing's off a little bit. You can see that he gets up too early at times, and he's on his way down when he's heading the ball. But I think even this season, the goals he scored with the injuries he's had, he'd be the one I'd want.
Luke, you got
Harry Kane, England's greatest ever centre forward. I'm not sure I agree with that, to be quite frank. I mean, he's very good, and he is England's all-time top scorer. Fine. And he's won the Golden Boot at the World Cup. Fine. But in terms of England's greatest, I don't think he's as good as Wayne. I mean, the only difference, really... See, fortunately for Harry Kane, he's been the main man in actually a very good England team that's been very, very consistent over the past few years. We've got to one semi-final, and we've got to 2 Euros finals, and we got to a quarter-final of a World Cup. So a World Cup semi-final, 2 Euros finals, and a quarter-final of the World Cup. So that's really good. And if Wayne Rooney was in this team, we'd probably have won the World Cup. because these England teams are, well drilled, well put together, and, most of the time, during Harry Kane's time, they seem to have... Everyone knew what they were doing, and no one was getting in anyone's way. Because if you think back to Wayne Rooney's day, when you had Gerrard and Lampard in central midfield, Paul Scholes put out on the left wing, then everyone was getting in each other's way, and it wasn't very tactically astute. Whereas now, England are a lot more tactically astute. So if you put Wayne Rooney up front or at number 10 today, he'd be an absolute dominating force for England. Without a shadow of a doubt. What, is Harry Kane better than Alan Shearer? No, I don't think so. But do you know what? That being said, I was going to say there the fact that Alan Shearer scored so many goals for a crap team. I forgot for a quick second that Harry Kane used to play for Tottenham Hotspur. So, I mean, they're quite similar on that front. But I don't know. I just feel as though Alan Shearer was frightening. Absolutely frightening. But they are both quite similar, now that I think about it. Better than Andy Cole? Well, yeah, certainly for England. But Andy Cole didn't really get a fair shake for England, unfortunately. Better than Michael Owen, yeah, I'll give him that. Harry Kane is class. I like Harry Kane. I'm not going to sit here in front of my microphone, in front of my screen, and absolutely slag off Harry Kane, because I really like Harry Kane. Whether or not he comes to Man United or not, I don't think that's going to happen now. He's staying at Bayern Munich. He's just won the Bundesliga, and he'll probably want another stab at the Champions League next season. So yeah, Harry Kane, yeah, he's absolutely class. Erling Haaland, bad with his head. I mean, I'm going to have to take Wayne Rooney's word for that one, because I don't know. He doesn't score much with his head, does he not? He scores with every other part of his body outside of his hands. I'm very surprised if he doesn't score with his head. I'm sure he's done a couple. He's about 6'9". He must do. But I do remember that time when Wayne Rooney all of a sudden started scoring headers. And I think it was around 2010 when they put him up front, when Ronaldo left, and he was the main goal-scoring threat for Man United, and he scored about 45 goals in all competitions. Something stupid. I don't think it was quite 45, but it would have been 45 because he scored about 35 by February. And I remember the AC Milan game when he scored a couple there and he just absolutely tore them to pieces. For about 6 months, he just couldn't stop scoring. He was getting like hat-tricks every week. And I think he got 4 in one game against maybe Watford or something like that at Old Trafford. So, yeah, Wayne Rooney was absolutely amazing up front. And, yeah, I would say he was better than Harry Kane, for sure. For sure. I mean, for a start, he had more pace than him. I mean, maybe if Harry Kane played for a top side more in his prime, and just it might be different. And to say that Tottenham Hotspur hamstrung his career, I don't think that's accurate, to be honest. Because what did you expect Tottenham to do? You know, sell their best player when they didn't want to? No. The reason Harry Kane didn't get his big move earlier than what he did is because he signed a new contract with Tottenham. He didn't have to sign that contract. No one put a gun to his head. But when he was about 27 or something like that, he signed about a 4-year contract with Lado's word. What's his name? I can't remember. The guy that runs Tottenham. But tight-fisted, so he is. And he's a very shrewd businessman. He promised him that he would sell him, but he didn't, or at the very least he dragged his heels. But Harry Kane didn't have to sign that contract. He could have gone to Man City, he could have gone to Man United, he could have wound it down, gone to Real Madrid. He could have gone anywhere he wanted to at the end of his previous contract. But he didn't, so Harry Kane's got to take some responsibility on that front. But hey ho, I mean, what? He's only about 32 now. And he's playing in the Bundesliga, and players play a lot longer now than what they used to. And he was never really known for his pace anyway. So you just need to slot him into a team that just feeds him. You could put him in Man City's team now, when they're on form, of course. You could put him in Man City's team now, and they just feed him, and he'd probably score 50 goals even now. And I reckon he could still probably bang in 40 goals if he's playing for a top side for the next few years at least. I mean, Lewandowski's still knocking them in Barcelona, so there's no reason why Harry Kane can't, because he's an excellent pro, so fair play to him. But anyway, what do you guys think? Do you think he's England's greatest ever forward? Thoughts in the comments, and the Big D will see you in the next one.